It's the most complex and contentious prohibition issue in the last century. The legal wars continue to rage on, battle lines being erased and redrawn. The march toward legalization of marijuana is underway, while opponents are strengthening their resolve. But it's about more than legalization. It struggles with regulation, standardization, and the impact that this $20 billion industry will have on all of us. The voices on all sides are many, clouding the issues and twisting the truth to aid their cause. We go deep and get to the facts, presenting an agenda-free look at the issues facing our nation. Every day, a new development. Every hour, a new story. Every minute, history in the making.
This is Digipath in the News.
Well, our first guest is joining us in studio, Mr. Todd Denkin. Todd is the CEO of Digipath Incorporated. DIGP is their stock symbol. Todd, good to see you again.
Good to see you, Don. Thanks for having me back.
Now, we had you on the program last week. Fascinating interview. For those who might have missed it, why don't you tell us again what Digipath does?
Absolutely. Well, we really support the testing industry and all things that are associated with testing, good lab practices. We analyze data, collect data, and we also deliver some news, right? Unbiased news to the industry. Right. So everything cannabis-based from a regulatory standpoint is how we're focused, but mainly in the testing space, data acquisition, and media.
Well, a lot of people don't realize, and we mentioned this briefly last week, but cannabis is required by law to be tested the same way in many cases that OTC drugs are.
That's correct. So in most of the states where cannabis is legal around the country, you have to have some form of testing. Our place is in Nevada, which is very highly regulated, so we test for potency and we test for all the bad stuff too, like pesticides, heavy metals, and microbial, to make sure that everything is safe and clean for the consumer. Because like you said, everything is regulated, right? From milk to water to everything you see in the grocery store, right? Why shouldn't cannabis also be tested and held to that same standard?
Well, we've seen so many states that have legalized cannabis, and of course now hemp is federally legal, so it's just ballooning in that direction.
It certainly is, and now hemp is following right in line with cannabis testing as well. Currently though, you only really have to test for potency for hemp just to really prove that it's not cannabis, right? That it's not marijuana and it has low levels of THC below 0.3%, right? But over time and next year, Nevada is going into full hemp testing, exactly how cannabis is tested, because there's over 100 growers now of hemp in Nevada. Just growing hemp. So it is, thanks to the Farm Bill, like you say, this has opened huge opportunities, not only for hemp growers, but for Digipath Labs as well.
Now, the company's involved in South America, specifically Colombia. I know that's fascinating. Why don't you fill us in on that? Sure.
Well, you know how about 10 years ago when pot stocks first entered into the marketplace and cannabis stocks started appearing on NASDAQ? Well, that had a huge impact on the stock market, had a huge impact on the economy. Well, we see Colombia affecting the cannabis market the same way cannabis affected the stock market.
Okay.
Colombia is going to be a huge player and already is beginning, large-scale production. They passed cannabis laws back in 2015. It is government, certainly government regulated, but government subsidized. They are literally turning their middle class into cannabis production facilities, right? Wow. So what's happening is, because they are on the equator, right? They have 12 hours of sunlight, 12 hours of darkness every single day, happens to be exactly what a cannabis plant needs, right? So it's the perfect growing environment, and when you can have the perfect growing environment, well, guess what? You're gonna get into the export phase, and that's what Colombia is doing, along with Canada and Israel. But Colombia is on the equator, right? Every single day of the year, it's between 72 and 82, right? And it rains just the right amount. So in order to produce cannabis, you need those things.
Right.
In Nevada, in Canada, and other places, people grow indoors, right? Because you have to.
Exactly.
And now you have the expense of power and labor, the two most expensive things when cultivating cannabis, right? Well, in Colombia, they don't have the need for HVAC, and they don't have the need for really expensive and hot lights, right? And they have the indigenous folks and the local middle class working at all of these facilities. So it is a win-win-win situation, and we couldn't not be a part of it, really, because the power of export of cannabis products, I mean, Colombia is predicted to supply 44% of the world's cannabis products.
44%?
44%.
Wow.
They plan on exporting up to 81,000 pounds, right? Over 40 tons of marijuana products, mainly in oil,
Wow.
right, to other countries, because lots of European countries like England, Germany, they have legal medical marijuana, but nobody can grow marijuana there, so they have to import all of their stuff. So we believe that being a part of a big distribution network of exporting and then importing on the other side, both sides are going to have to be tested, and that's a huge opportunity for Digipath and certainly for our shareholders.
Do you feel you're well positioned to take advantage of this opportunity?
You know, absolutely. We have created a replicable system, right? Thanks to the work of our Chief Science Officer, Dr. Cindy Orser, and our very talented scientific staff. We literally have, you know, I like to call it our McDonald's manual, right? Because we know exactly where to put the fry machine and the shake machine and the cash register and where to line people up, right? We have that. We're ISO 17025 2017 certified. We're an award-winning lab that has done lots of great work in the industry. And now we're taking this lab in a box and we're going to take it down to Colombia. We're working directly with the Colombian government to help them set standards and to really create the regulations on what should and shouldn't be tested. So are we poised? We are absolutely poised to not only really create a big footprint in Colombia, but we could be the first ones from a cannabis testing standpoint in order to open in all of South America, and we're looking right in Bogota right now.
Almost out of time, but I did want to mention your growth sciences division you talked about last week, which you can give me in 30 seconds.
Absolutely. So all we've been doing all of this time as we're doing all this testing is collecting data, right? We believe that data over time will be the long-term play for Digipath, right? So in order to exploit this data, and we analyze it, we figure it out, what's going on, and Dr. Cindy Orser has created formulations. And now we're going to license out these formulations to other product makers who want to enter the space with their new and improved products. Now you can get in simply by calling Grow Sciences and saying, hey, I'm looking to do this. Let's see what kind of formulations you have for this, this, and that. Fascinating company. DIGP is their stock symbol. Digipath. Todd, always a pleasure. Thank you. Always a pleasure to see you as well.